Good evening, social netizens of beautiful Africa. This is Brawili and I am with
Vince West, right here on Radio Junto.
We are on
eNitiate Visual Radio.
Yeah, between now and 9 o'clock. And we've got lots and lots of stuff that we're going to share with you tonight. Vince, I am so excited. It's not funny.
In fact, according to your Facebook status, you were rubbing hands, waiting for this meal.
Yeah.
And let's look at it as a meal, and we're going to chop it up piece by piece.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So, it's a Wednesday. So, we last spoke about the show last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, yeah.
So, yeah, we're looking forward to hanging out with all the netizens from across the continent.
Yeah.
And even overseas, because it's a worldwide radio station. So we anticipate that everybody, anywhere, at any time could be listening to us.
Yeah.
Sure.
Lots and lots of stuff to share tonight, as I said. And by the way, we are from a company called eNitiate Integrated Solutions. We offer digital content solutions that are meant to assist brands develop their digital footprint in the most effective way possible. And we do so using three strategic pillars, basically. One being online listening, the other one being engaging, talking about development of content, and the last leg being measurement. We don't do what we don't measure, and as a result, we make sure that, we don't just get into things that we can't give proof of results that they have worked or not. So that's us.
That's us in a nutshell. You can also go to www.eNitiate.solutions to immerse yourself in more and more of the content that we provide, and some of the case studies that we have dealt with in the more than 5 years that we have been in business.
More than 6 years, Vince.
I beg your pardon. I took away 1 year. It's all right.
Don't do that, bro. You know, in entrepreneurship space, every additional year is important.
Especially after the second year, ne?
Aha.
Okay, that's fine. So what is our plate looking like? Because we normally start with what happened in the past 7 days from eNitiate point of view.
Yes.
And then we move on to a South African point of view, followed by a continental view. And then we cross the seas and find out what were the international stories of a digital nature, yes, of a digital nature, and how they affect us as Africans. Because this show is all about taking digital Africa to the world.
Absolutely. Something is happening tonight, Vince.
Right. Other than the AFCON semi-final. Okay.
As you will know, which is a bit unfortunate, what tends to happen is, because Bafana is out of the competition now, there's a little bit of sluggishness when it comes to following the competition, which is a bit unfortunate. Okay? But the national cricket team...
Yes, the send-off.
They are off to
the Cricket World Cup.
They'll be there for the next 2 months, and we wish the boys well. Interestingly, I was actually listening to Mbalula talking Afrikaans. I must tell you, I love our Minister of Sport.
Mr. Resmetes himself.
He was actually addressing the boys in Afrikaans, man, and I was actually feeling proud that he was doing that.
We certainly wish them the best of luck. And, just out of interest, I wish to see more African countries taking part in this competition in the future. Because right now we're sitting with about, South Africa and Zimbabwe. I don't know if Zimbabwe actually made it to this World Cup. But nonetheless, those are the two nations that come to my mind. Okay, so what's on our plate from an eNitiate point of view?
I wanted to indicate, as you will remember, because we mentioned this last time, that we are tracking online mentions of Cricket World Cup. So I'm looking forward to, finding out what's happening, what are people saying about our boys and the Cricket World Cup at large, as it were. Cool. So that's the one thing. The other thing, Vince, we were tracking between Friday and Saturday. we were tracking the launch of Samsung Galaxy A when they made an attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the most number of selfies that were uploaded in a 24-hour period.
Yeah. It was happening out at Sandton City in Sandton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happened there was, apparently, the previous world record is sitting at 10,000. Apparently. We went and checked, but we couldn't find the true numbers. And basically what the Samsung guys had to do was to break through the 10,000 selfie mark. And
by all indication, it seems like they made it, right?
They did, because they ended that campaign at 12,803 selfies which were uploaded. But that's a provisional number because it still needed to be audited and all those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been trying to get hold of somebody from Samsung South Africa to join us so we can speak some more about it.
I did, and I think for me, I had a blog post idea from the whole experience. Quickly, I got onto their international site, and I noticed there is a live chat element. Got onto the live chat, and I said I would like to speak to a representative about etc. They directed me to a South African office, which I called, and I got the email address of one of the representatives whom unfortunately we couldn't get hold of.
Yeah.
But I was just amazed at the agility that the brand moved with. And it's a kudos for Samsung because they're really putting customer service, especially using digital tools.
It would have been great though for them to respond to our email because, you know, we were really looking forward to chatting to them tonight. But I guess it is what it is.
It is.
Can you hear me clearly with your phones?
I can hear you so beautifully. I was actually commenting in my head to be like, we are sounding good.
Awesome, man. Because we obviously want to make sure that we can put together a podcast here after and share it with all the netizens out there because we know that some of them don't have the opportunity to listen to us live.
Right.
Looking forward to putting together the podcast here after so we can share it online. So, insofar as eNitiate is concerned, those are the two main things: Cricket World Cup and the tracking of the Samsung Galaxy A's attempt at Guinness World Record. And for those of you netizens who are wondering what we're talking about, insofar as Samsung is concerned, we actually published a post and did a video of it. So you can go look it up. Visit our blogging page. It is on eNitiate.solutions. When you're on there, just look for eNitiate blog and go visit the blog page. Check out the Samsung Galaxy A post and read some more on what we were saying during the 2-day period on Friday and Saturday.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah. So, should we be moving on? And in fact, we should also say that, the whole thing about the fact that we've got a packed show, our show is structured as follows tonight. We've spoken about what we were doing in the past 7 days as eNitiate. We're going to speak about what has happened in the last 7 days in Mzansi. And then we will cover Africa, but the spotlight tonight is on Nigeria. Awesome stuff, Vince, that we're going to share about the Nigerian market.
I almost spoke, but let me leave it till when it happens.
Awesome. And then later on, you're going to do your stint insofar as your bit is concerned, Vince.
On a trends report tip about a very social media what did we call it again? A national cause through social media.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
And in fact, maybe we must do that as part of Mzansi before we move to Africa.
I agree.
Awesome. And then we have a guest who's joining us tonight, and I'm so looking forward to it. Sitawa Wafula. We were hoping to have Sitawa on our show last week, but things didn't turn out the way we had expected. You know how the internet goes. At times, things are beyond our control. I can confirm that Sitawa will definitely be joining us tonight. We're going to have a hangout round about what time, Vince?
Around about 8:40.
Awesome stuff.
True.
And then we will speak about what's happening on the global market. We will then end the show with what are we going to cover next week, and I'm already excited about that too.
Excitement is the spice of life, so
absolutely
nothing wrong with that.
Remember, you can catch us right now on www.radiojunto.co.za, or you can also follow the stuff that we're posting about the show. Follow us on _initiators insofar as Twitter is concerned, or just look us up on eNitiators, which is our Facebook page. So, let's get on to Mzansi in the last 7 days.
Cool.
Do you want to go first?
Let me go first. So, we are preparing for the State of the Nation address.
Yes.
Which is happening on the 12th of February.
And it has started its own interesting vibe long before it happens.
It's always an event that everybody looks forward to. Of course, there's the fashion element when all the ministers, put their best leg forward. But obviously, it is about what the president of the country has to say.
Yeah.
So, in keeping up with all things social media, the president put out an invite and asked for suggestions through social media on the issues that people consider of importance.
Yeah.
And a Twitter handle, which is @PresidencyZA, @PresidencyZA, or the Facebook page for the Presidency of the Republic of South Africa.
Yeah, boo. Okay.
So, I found out that 3 issues came through. In all the suggestions that came through. Now, one, in exactly this order. One was that people are asking for the president to pay back the money.
Okay.
I'll give context.
Yes,
I'll give context in a moment. Number 2, they are asking the president to resign because he hasn't paid back the money.
Okay, so the 2 issues are
connected.
Okay.
And then the third one, people are asking for Dacha to be legalized. Okay. Dacha being legalized is an international phenomenon. No need to explain that. But the first 2 is that the president of the country has been involved in a scandal that connects his house. There's a mansion worth 256 million that was built as part of his security upgrades, and court procedures have allegedly said that he needs to pay back the money because he benefited unduly. Did I sum it up pretty well?
Yeah, it's one of those tongue twisters. And we have to really be careful what we say about it. Because we obviously don't want to get ourselves into trouble.
Hot water.
Yeah.
So the long and short is that there's a 256 million rand mansion in dispute.
Yeah.
And there is pressure mounting that the president needs to pay back a portion of this 256 because there's been conclusive foundings to that effect.
Yeah.
To say he unduly benefited. So there's a back and forth about this. So people...
I'm actually scared talking about this topic, I must admit.
Let me get to the social media part. So
please.
People are putting the pressure to say, President, you've been found, pay back the money. So there is a social media hashtag that was started by a comedian, Peter Dirk Ace, a well-known South African comedian, and he put out 2 hashtags that people can use to also voice out what they think the president needs to address in his State of the Nation address. So the first one was a hashtag which is called Commit Your Selfie.
Okay.
So with Commit Your Selfie, you put the hashtag and then you say, Mr. President, I would like you to include this and that into your State of the Nation address. And the second hashtag is Pay Back the Money.
Cool.
So everybody in the country has got onto the first one, and according to Topsy, I'll share this with you. For example, in the past 30 days, the hashtag that the Commit Your Selfie hashtag, which has gotten the likes of Charlize Theron putting her support behind the campaign, has only received 341 mentions in total. But interestingly enough, according to Topsy, the Pay Back the Money hashtag in the past 17 days, it has done over 3,000 tweets on social media.
Okay.
So people are really, really, really interested in the Pay Back the Money story. So it's going to be interesting to see how the president takes whatever was said through the media and translates that into his State of the Nation.
I'm actually wondering, this is not something I want to dwell on necessarily, because it's a bit of it's also on the negative side of things, and we are about positive.
We are indeed
news. But one thing that it reminds me of is what happened with my NYPD. You remember we covered that.
We did indeed.
Exactly, where the NYPD were asking for people to post pictures of, the experiences they've had with NYPD, hoping obviously that those were going to be positive.
It ended up being egg in their face.
Exactly. So it will be interesting to see how this one goes. But maybe let's leave it there, because it's not really one of the stories that we want to be beaming out to the world. We are about positive stuff.
Cool.
Awesome. So we've spoken a bit about what's coming. We are actually tracking SONA, which is short for State of the Nation Address, as we call it in South Africa. We know that the US have had theirs. I think it was 2 weeks ago or something like that. So we are up there with the global trends indeed. Now, here's something else that happened over the weekend, and to be exact, on Saturday. Take a guess.
We are all about positive stories, so yeah. I will move away the negative one that I thought about.
Yeah.
It's more sad than negative.
Okay.
Yeah, so not that one.
Positive?
Saturday.
Big event that happens of course.
Oh, okay.
Of course. Now, here's an interesting bit about the JMB Met, Vince. Given that it gets attended by all the big celebs,
yeah.
and the twelebs of this country.
True.
It has become a huge well of content for brands that can leverage such an event way beyond the JMB brand itself. Now, one such brand that really did a good job of leveraging that content was Legit,
the clothing store.
Absolutely.
Share with us
what Legit did. They basically tracked all the photos from Instagram and from Twitter which were doing well, with the hashtag made for the mix,
which was the theme
for this year. So they basically tracked such photos, and they picked about 8 of them. 2 of those photos were by Minnie Dlamini and Boiti,
whom have had previous connections with the brand.
Absolutely.
Yes, they have.
Now, one may wonder whether the brand is basically leveraging on that basis, but there were others, because there were 8 such photos.
Right.
Interestingly, though, Minnie Dlamini and Boiti's photos, the 2 photos of the many that were doing the runs on social media. Minnie Dlamini's photo, when I last checked, it had been shared or liked on Instagram over 11,000 times.
Very popular.
Indeed. And obviously, because Legit was leveraging that, they got the leverage that came with it.
Not even mentioning the reach.
You know what I mean?
And the opportunity to see and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. The second one by Boiti had been liked just over 5,000 times. 5,000 times actually. So big up to Legit, because what they did is they made sure that they kept tabs on what was happening, because the JMB Met is a fashion event. It makes sense that a fashion brand did something about it without having to pay to be part of the JMB Met, which I thought was clever.
Very smart indeed.
Yeah. And they did a blog on it on their official website. and basically shared those photos. It was quite interesting to see that they did a good job of it.
Great stuff indeed.
Yeah, content curation is really happening in a good way here, as you can see.
Yeah. Speaking of content curation, we're going to be presenting on this specific subject this coming Friday.
Yes.
I'm not at liberty to give out the full details.
Yeah.
Because of client relations, of course. Yeah. But it's a subject that we're keeping a very keen eye on because it's really proving to be a phenomenon. And one of these episodes, we will really just pull it apart and just bring it closer.
Absolutely, because incidentally, we do have this legit content in that presentation, as it were. Okay, so that's basically what happened in South Africa over the past 7 days. We obviously chose the topics which were of most appeal to us. A lot happened.
Sure, a lot more.
But for us, these were the topics that were worth mentioning tonight.
Okay.
Are we ready to move on to Africa, or do we want to take a breather, do a bit of a jingle, and then we hop onto it?
I think we're still on a good ride, so cool. Let's go with it.
Let's do it. Sitawa, wherever you are, I hope that you're listening to us. We are so looking forward, my sis, to having you on the show. 20 to 9 our time, 20 to 10 Kenyan time. We're so looking forward to chatting to you. I'm sure that you're just as excited as we are. Okay, moving on to Africa. I first want to mention a gentleman who is a professor of statistics. He hails from Uganda, and he launched a book very recently. And the book is called, if I can get the title just now, I will get the title just now, but his name is Professor Kire Giera. I'm told that it's actually Chire Giera. So let me try and pronounce it correctly. Professor Chire Giera, who's a statistician with 39 years worth of experience in that field, launched this book which is called The Emerging Data Revolution in Africa. It's actually a statistics book. But as he was mentioning at his launch last night, which by the way was hosted by Timali. Timali is former President Thabo Mbeki's leadership academy that is found at UNISA. He mentioned some interesting things about African stats, some of which were actually debunking the myths that have been fed by the West on the world. You know, how rich data is in Africa, and actually there is data available. It's just that people are not looking in the right places, or maybe we're not making it available ourselves. It's a big book. It's huge. Actually, I tweeted a picture of this book last night.
Yeah.
So anyone who's listening and they're interested, go search one of my tweets last night where I spoke about this book. Lovely, lovely book indeed. I haven't started reading it yet, but it doesn't read like a novel. So I would imagine that it's like a manual which you will read in bits and pieces as and when you need stuff on statistics about the continent. And it was good to see that Professor Padi Lehohla from Stats SA was there. And
was he wearing a yellow suit?
He was wearing a pink tie.
Okay, he went conservative this time. He went conservative,
but pink, my bro. Anyway, Prof. Lehohla was there. It was all sorts of fun. So we're saying big ups to Prof. Chire Giera for the awesome work that he's done on the continent. In fact, his profile reads like a whole novel all on its own. So in the interest of time, I'm not going to talk any further about it.
Cool. Moving
on, I'd like to speak about Nigeria.
Would you like to speak about Nigeria?
Yebo.
Okay. It's 25 after 8.
Yeah.
This is Radio Junto, and the show is eNitiate Visual Radio.
Yebo.
We are a team of excited Africans who want to just tell the world about Africa.
Yebo.
You can find out more about us on eNitiate.solutions. That is our website, and we've got a whole lot of content that you can glean in relation to what we do and what we are about.
Yes, indeed.
So now we're going to be crossing over to African stories now.
Yeah.
That have been making headlines, and Brawili has been looking forward to this particular part because it's like the spotlight of this hour of the show.
Yes. So
Brawili, tell us about Lagos.
There I was, Vince. Before I speak about that one,
okay.
There I was at home, and you know, the family are gathering around. They're watching some program. I kind of listen in, and it's like these accents. They sound like Nigerian accents. I watched closely, and indeed, there is this the program that's on DSTV. I can't remember the name of the program now, but you know, it's this lady who basically features people from around the continent, but her studio is in Nigeria, from what I can remember.
Okay.
And she was speaking to one of the film producers, Nigerian film producers, from Nollywood, as it were.
Right.
Okay, so out of interest, I sat and listened, and he mentioned something very interesting, Vince. He said, you know, Nollywood is so big because Nigerians would rather watch their own movies before they watch Hollywood movies or any foreign movies for that matter. And I thought, what? And he went further. He said, I know for a fact that in South Africa it's the other way around.
Okay.
Which was like a sore point. And I will come back to it just now. Here are the stats on Nollywood, which I thought were fascinating. The first one is Nollywood. For all those of you who don't know, Nollywood is the movie industry that is found in Nigeria. You know, they are based in the main centers around Nigeria, including Lagos. Now, Nollywood is the second largest employer in Nigeria. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
That shows you how big the industry is. The second largest employer. Okay?
Okay.
The other fact is that it is estimated that 3 movies are produced daily in Nollywood. 3 movies daily. That comes to 1,200 movies a year.
Wow.
That's a massive, massive number. You must remember that Nollywood was actually established in the early 1960s. But actually, this kind of explosion that we're seeing with their movies
happened recently.
It happened in the late 90s, thanks to digital cinematography technology, as they call it.
True.
Obviously, digital technology, as it were, where you know people are not using celluloid anymore. They are shooting movies from their own small cameras, and those movies don't have to be edited in big studios and all those sorts of things. Okay,
cool.
Now here's another interesting insight about Nollywood. The industry size is worth $5.1 billion. $5.1 billion. Obviously, in South African terms, that would be about $60 billion. It's in trillions in the naira. Another thing is, in 2013, Vince, the industry made $10 billion in revenue. $10 billion. That's a lot of money. When they translate it into naira, it's 1.7 trillion naira.
Clearly a massive contributor to the GDP.
It's huge. It's massive. Okay. Another insight that I came across is that Nollywood is a third in revenue size behind Hollywood and Bollywood, but is a second in volume size behind Bollywood.
So it means that there's more
movies than Hollywood.
Yes,
but Bollywood is ahead of them. But in terms of revenue, they are third after Bollywood and Hollywood. Yeah, which is still a big sum.
It is, eh?
I found something very interesting, though. Do you know who is the closest competitor to Nollywood on the continent? I didn't know this.
Let me think. I don't know. I'm very patriotic. I'd say South Africa.
No, it's not South Africa. Interestingly, it's Ghana.
Are they so big on their movies also?
They call their movie industry Gollywood.
Wow. So
Bagana, Gollywood.
We should also have our very own eNitiate thing. What would we call it?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be interested in having
eNitiate wood.
There is no way in hell. We have to be using our own brand names as opposed to be copying names from the likes of Hollywood.
Hashtag innovation.
There you go. Okay, so that is basically the facts and the insights about Nollywood. Now, I want to quickly touch on social media week in Lagos. Vince, you will remember you were here at home and you were helping me because I needed to get hold of cash. I left South Africa without having prepared, without having spoken to my bank about the fact that I'm going to Nigeria because I didn't anticipate there was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I had gone to Kenya before. There was no issue. I could draw money from any ATM available out in Kenya. I couldn't do the same in Nigeria in 2013. And it was the end of February. I actually remember the dates. It was the 17th to the 22nd of February.
When I rescued your life and you still haven't thanked me officially for this.
Okay, do you want me to thank you on radio?
It's okay.
Publicly.
It's all right.
Now, here's a story, guys. Social Media Week. Actually, I was introduced to this event, which is a big event. It takes a week. It involves all sorts of topics around social media. It's a free event by and large, but there are some of those private events which you can attend if you buy a pass. Nigeria was having it for the first time in 2013, and it was also my first time in Nigeria. What a coincidence. Awesome environment. The vibe is great. Those of you who are able to go to Nigeria or were looking to go to Nigeria and have anything to do with social media, you have to attend the Social Media Week Lagos, which is happening in the last week of February. Awesome environment, and I'm certain that you will enjoy yourselves greatly. Now, here is one piece of advice. Two, actually. The first piece, I've told you, speak to your bank first, because you will get there and find that you can't get your money from any ATM. Okay? The second one, though, Vince, is that this year's event, unlike in 2013 where it was happening at a posh outlet. Porsche outlet. Is that how it should be pronounced?
Porsche is the car brand and Posh is Lani. You're looking for the Porsche.
I'm looking for the Porsche because that's where it was happening.
At the car brand.
Yebo.
Was top notch.
This is where it was happening in 2013. Okay, and we'll talk about Porsche and Nigeria some other time because I got some interesting insights from one of the representatives at the outlet.
Okay,
cool. Here's an advice. This event is happening out at Victoria Islands. The name of the venue is Landmark Center. I'm told that it's been fairly built. Please, if you're going to Nigeria, do yourself a favor. Find accommodation in and around that venue as close as possible because traffic can be a nightmare in Nigeria. In fact, I heard stories that, if you are in downtown Nigeria and you try and go to Victoria Islands, there are times when it can take you up to 6 hours. And the distance is not that long, eh?
Wow.
If at most, it's 40 k's, but it'll take you 6 hours. So for those of you who are going to Social Media Week in Lagos, please, you must make sure that you find accommodation as close to the venue, which is the Landmark Center. You will be safe because then you won't have to be traveling for hours at a time.
Okay. We thought of maybe going to launch eNitiate Visual Radio that side.
We were so hoping that we could do so,
but it won't be possible. But we still definitely are gonna make means to take this brand up to the continent and share the stories with the rest of Africa.
We would definitely love to do that. It's a pity things haven't worked out the way that we wanted them to, but it's for the better. We will certainly be keeping our tabs on what's happening in Lagos when Social Media Week hits. In fact, we're going to track it so that we can also be aware of what the online mentions are about, and we will bring them to the guys in that week of the social media week. We're really looking forward to it.
So stay tuned, because that and more information is what we will keep you updated with right here on eNitiate Visual Radio. I'm Vince West along with Brawili. He is the founder, the head initiator at eNitiate Integrated Solutions, and I can tell you that he is a leader of note, and I'm fortunate to be his co-pilot. Now,
I'm humbled, Vince.
It's all right. It's all right. At least one thing I know, that if you co-pilot with Brawili, your plane will not clip a bridge. God forbid.
Man, did you see that accident?
Saw that. I
saw
that.
Oh my Lord.
And funny enough, I don't know if it's me, I try to find any, supporting info to say what kind of like caused the whole thing.
Yeah.
You had said there's speculation about people taking selfies. And thus leading to the
not
crash.
This one.
Not this one.
Yeah,
Is
but
it?
the Air Asia one, apparently the co-pilot or the pilot or both of them were taking selfies at the time when the plane got into trouble, and that's how the crash happened.
Wow. Okay.
I'm still to read the whole story, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I saw the headlines. There are actually a few articles on it.
Okay. So I thought to myself, you don't want to find yourself in this kind of a situation, and then you find that the pilot is taking selfies. So I'm fortunate to be working with Brawili in that sense. So we also saw that story making huge headlines today, but we're about positive stories. So let's hope that everybody's safe in that plane crash. So as we're preparing to get Sitawa on the line, to bring the Kenya part of the continent into this conversation on eNitiate Visual Radio.
Yes.
Another story that I just want to celebrate, Brawili.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's an African American that's making headlines.
Tell me
so there's
about
an
it.
African element about it. So it's Kanye West. I'm speaking for the West family, myself included as Vince West. He's doing a collaboration collection with Adidas, the sneaker brand.
Okay.
So it's going to be coming out finally this year, and everybody's been waiting for it for a long time. So to have an African American achieving such is a big deal, and the sneaker is going to be launched at the New York Fashion Week. But what's interesting and of digital importance is that Adidas have developed an app that people can pre-order the sneakers with.
Okay.
Yeah. So as it is launched, the app will go live, and then you will have a gallery of the sneakers, the limited edition sneakers that are available, and then you can pre-order, and then you can secure the deal and close it right there. Okay.
My Lord.
Yeah. And then obviously then eventually the sneaker will be delivered to you. So what I just found fascinating is that how brands are learning from other brands' failures and success. You mentioned Samsung earlier. We saw what Samsung did when Jay-Z launched another African American launched his album, and there was so many downloads that they've never ever anticipated, and the app actually shut down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So now statements and reports are saying, this is now according to Esquire magazine, they are saying that this time around the developers took the Jay-Z Samsung case as the benchmark.
Okay.
And they developed this app to be able to anticipate a very large volume of hits. So we will follow that, because it's an interesting story and it's digital, still being applied in terms of lifestyle, and I hope it goes very well.
I hope so too. Obviously there's tons of stuff to learn from what these guys are doing. The greatest thing about us Africans is that we learn fairly quickly. So much so that we leapfrog. I will tell you, time permitting, about a topic I was listening to as I was driving here on SAFM, where they were talking about the digitization of the classroom.
Yeah.
And the question there was, are we ready as South Africans for classroom digitization? given that there are so many basic things that still have to be in place, like being able to be taught in a classroom as opposed to being taught under a tree.
It is a paradigm shift, isn't it? It is a paradigm shift indeed. So we certainly look out for such stories and we bring them to the fore, because now I think as Africa, we will also eventually develop apps such as those that I mentioned, because with all these IT hubs, such as the guys at Bongo Hive, you know, I'm sure an African IT hub will come out with a great idea. It doesn't even have to be an IT hub. It can be just a normal African that comes up with a great phenomenon of an app.
It certainly will be. I guess in the context of Africa, because there are other imperatives that we have to be looking at. I'm certain, and we're going to find out hopefully sometime soon from the Bongo Hive guys. What they are doing. By the way, Bongo Hive is found in Zambia.
It is.
The guys have done lots and lots of great work. We're hoping to talk to them sometime in the future.
I can confirm that they have confirmed that they will entertain us. We need to just give them the questions and the time. So definitely next week we will have them online.
Listen to that. We're making waves, aren't we, Vince?
You know, I just love the synergy that we have, in the sense that we talk about it and then we put action, and the results sometimes don't come. But we're not worried about the results per se. It's about the reaching out, the connecting the dots, and just bringing Africa to meet at one place and then take digital Africa to the world.
And the nice thing is, you know, guys are keen. Guys are keen to come on board and work with us. And you know, when I saw the response from the Bongo Hive guys, I thought, my lord, you know, and you know, so was Sitawa, but looks like we can't get hold of her now. Sitawa, if you are listening to us, please, my sis, we are desperately trying to get hold of you. So let's make sure that we hook up so that we can do this thing, my sis. Okay.
Yeah. So Sitawa, we're doing our best from this side of the world to connect with you. Okay, 8:43 is the time. We've got 17 minutes to go. Once we lock this chat with Sitawa, one of the things we're going to be doing is a throw forward to next week about what we're going to be cooking for you.
Absolutely.
And look forward to that. We'll do it just in the dying moments of the show.
Yes.
But one thing that we also spoke about is the African of the moment.
But where's our sting, man? Vince? Okay, that's fine. African of the moment. We're having our own interesting developments here in the studio. So
it's all in a day's work, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So we want to also focus and bring the spotlight on Africans that are making super waves. So I think it was last week when we mentioned the lady.
Yes.
I beg your pardon that her name has just skipped my mind.
But we'll find it just now.
So nonetheless, we want to also just make sure that we elevate those Africans that are doing phenomenal things to spread the name of the continent in good light. So we might just drop a name today of an African that has done phenomenally, and it's a feature that we want to keep up as part of the show, so that we make it known that there are Africans who are trailblazers and thought leaders, and the world needs to be aware of who they are.
Yes. We will find the name of the lady just now. She is the executive director of Oxfam, and she's basically credited for the very latest report, which showed that 1% of the wealthiest people in this world will be owning the same amount of wealth as the 99% in 2015. It's a scary number.
But it is actually a reality that can be changed.
True.
I think
true that.
It's a matter of strides that Africans can take to just do the paradigm shift, like I call it.
Yebo.
Okay, are you winning from your side?
Well, we can't get hold of Sitawa, but the show must go on.
The show must go on.
We have enough material to keep us going for another day. It's a pity that this is the second time running. But we know that Sitawa is committed to this show, and if she could make it, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Now, Let me tell you, let's go back to Nigeria.
Cool.
Do you know the name Iroko TV?
Jason Njoku.
Aha.
Is one of the directors there. Am I right or wrong?
He is a co-founder and the CEO. And the other co-founder is Bastian Gota. I hope the pronunciation is correct. And Bastian is the COO. Now, Vince, you will remember when I came back from Nigeria, I was raving about Iroko TV.
You were.
Don't ask me why I didn't know about them before I went to Nigeria, but these things happen, I guess. This is what I've learned about Iroko TV, okay? A few things. First one is they are one of Africa's first mainstream online movie streaming websites.
So are they like a Netflix equivalent?
There you go.
All right.
They are Africa's Netflix.
Oh, that's actually fascinating.
Okay. And they are also the largest licensed platform for Nollywood movies.
Great monopoly.
Remember the numbers. Nollywood movies, 1,200 made every year. And they have the license for most of those movies.
Oh.
In fact, they have a license for 5,000 free movies that you can watch on Iroko TV. So anyone who's interested and hasn't heard anything about Iroko TV, I actually urge you to go look them up online and watch the free Nigerian movies. Lots and lots of movies that you can watch for free there. Okay, let's move on. They were launched. Iroko TV specifically was launched in December 2011. Okay. It falls under a group called Iroko Partners. It's an entertainment company that has iRocking, which is a music side of things, and the other various companies under the entertainment umbrella. Mm-hmm. Cool. We have already indicated that it was co-founded by Jason Njoku and Bastian Gota, and it's interesting how Jason started Iroko TV. He actually was looking for a movie for his grandmom, and he couldn't find a movie.
A suitable
movie, Nigerian movie. He ended up thinking, here's an idea. Why don't I stream Nollywood movies based on legal license with these guys? Wow. Genuine license. And that's how the business started. Okay? Move on. The other thing is that they have since spread their wings. They now have offices in London, New York, and Johannesburg since 2013. That's Iroko for you.
You know what I learned from this Iroko story?
Yeah.
Is that, one, as Africa-based businesses,
yes,
we need to think globally. For example, as eNitiate, we need to start thinking on how we will spread our wings further into the continent.
You are so right, Vince.
Because through digital technology, the world has become such a small place. And as South Africans, we can easily connect with Kenyans, Ghanaians, Egyptians, all thanks to technology.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting approach to learn from, to say that you need to think bigger than where your business is. Yeah. So I think this should be a good motivation for us as eNitiate to say we need to connect and spread our wings into the continent and do business with our fellow Africans.
Vince, you are so right. It's not funny, man. And I mean, when you look at the likes of these guys, because, Jason Njoku, if my memory serves me well, he's only 32. And this company was started in 2011, and it's already, bustling with all sorts of successes. It's been written about and it's been featured on all the major news broadcasts of the world, the CNBCs of this world. Now, there is something that we can take as South Africans and as other parts of the continent from how the Nigerians have done it.
True.
Okay? The first one is, in fact, I didn't know this, Vince, about the Nigerian film market. This is where, in a sense, you could argue that, protecting your own market can actually grow the market, as it were. Because when it started, by government decree, the Nigerian film industry was protected from the global market. They couldn't access it. And that basically became the seed for Nollywood to become as successful as they are today. We know that from a South African perspective, local movies are actually battling. So the question is, what is the learning there? The learning for me, and we're seeing it from the Ghanaian side of things, because they are actually distributing their movies in Nigeria. And what they have found is they've had to feature Nigerian actors in their movies, and Nigerian movie producers are also featuring Ghanaian actors.
Right. Learning from each other.
You see what I mean? And this has become a competition of note. So the one thing that the South Africans can learn from the Nigerians is they need to go into that market. But for you to go into that market, you will need to get into what's the word I'm looking for now, Vince?
Into co-ops
with the Nigerians. Invite Nigerian actors to come and act in your movies, and they will do the same. And through that, you can look for distribution channels within the Nigerian market. Because if you crack it in the Nigerian market, they will watch your movies.
You know what comes to my mind?
Yeah.
A series that highlighted issues around sexuality and HIV/AIDS. It was called Sugar.
Right.
It had South African actors. It had Nigerian actors, and even I remember one of the episodes I saw Lupita Nyong'o there.
Yeah,
she even starred in that, and she was just a normal cast member, and she subsequently went on to represent Africa on a bigger scale.
Cool.
So I think that was one such case where we've kind of like tried the co-ops thing, but I think the lesson is that we need to do more of that.
Absolutely, Vince.
Despite our Oscar success, going all the way to Hollywood, but I think co-ops are still the way to go. So Africa, we need to unite and just get our hands together and push ourselves.
Absolutely. I've just received a message that Sitawa is here, and
okay, let's give it a shot.
So let's do this thing.
Okay, let's try.
Let's do this thing, and hopefully we are going to succeed this time around. Hello, Sitawa. Hello, Sitawa. Can you hear me? There's an echo.
Okay, try that again.
Sitawa, can you hear me? We're going to try and do this, even though we've almost run out of time.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. It's worth it.
But we're definitely going to try. Okay, let's do it again.
Remember, Sitawa is connecting with us from Kenya.
Absolutely. Sitawa, can you hear me? Man, I'm not liking this. Okay, let's join.
Okay.
Guys,
everything in our power.
We are going to try this because there is no way we're not going to be talking to Sitawa tonight. There is no way. Whilst we getting Sitawa on board, Sitawa, can you hear me? Aha. Let's see now.
Okay.
It looks like everyone has left. How can this be? Okay, let's try again. Man, I'm not going to be happy if I don't get to speak to Sitawa today. I promise you that.
And at least...
Okay, those of you who know the sound of Hangout, you will know that we are ringing Sitawa now.
Yeah.
Come, sir, speak to us.
Remember last week we were giving away some clues. We were trying to give you a clue about what Sitawa and us are going to be chatting about.
Yeah.
So I remember after the show I was asking Brawili if I gave away too much. The word that I gave is a South African word. The word is amakoduka.
Yeah.
And to Brawili, he felt that was like a dead giveaway. And I'm tempted to explain what amakoduka is, but let's see if we can get Sitawa on the line to give us a context to how I actually arrived at amakoduka.
We have literally 5 minutes to the end of the show, but we're going to try anyway. Man, we have to speak to Sitawa. And whilst we're doing so, guys, remember, you can catch eNitiate on various social networks, but the main ones are really Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter, we are _initiators. Initiators spelled ENITIATERS. Did I call it right, Vince?
You did.
And on Facebook, we are just eNitiators. So catch us there, and join us on our blog site. We blog as often as we can. Our blog is found on our site, as it were, which is eNitiate.solutions.
And one of the things I wanted us to mention is that we are building a good base of eNitiate friends, I'll call them.
Yeah, boo.
We acquired one by the name of Victor Khomweswana.
Yeah, boo.
Last week we got him onto our black book to say he's one of the friends of eNitiate. So stay tuned, because such great ambassadors of the continent are definitely worth keeping in our black book. So we value such kind of friends.
Okay, enough of this noise now. I'm going to mute it, and I'm still hopeful that we'll be able to get hold of Sitawa. Right now we are not winning, but we are going to keep trying. I suppose that's a price we have to be paying for using the internet with bandwidth that can at times be slow.
Okay, but nonetheless, next week we have already got some menu items that are prepared for you.
Yebo.
And we mentioned the story last week. We said we came across a site, I believe it's African Innovation Foundation. And we are still investigating the ins and outs of this organization, and just like we made contact with the guys at Bongo Hive, we are still setting up the pipe work so that we can get them to answer one or two questions from us about who they are and what they do.
Yes.
And then that will inform us a lot, so that we can now start building up a good case of insights about them and what they do.
Absolutely.
With all the context, because all we're trying to get is the context of the organization.
Yebo.
And as also alluded to, with about 2 minutes to go before 9, is that we have made contact with the guys at Bongo Hive in Zambia, another IT hub of note on the continent. And we're going to be speaking to them and chatting about who they are, what they do, some of their most exciting work, and what's coming up on their plate in the not so distant future.
And part of which we want to be asking a question, Vince, because they have plotted all these other IT hubs across the continent, and our count came to 117 of them. The question we want to ask them is, what is their view of levels of innovation on the continent? Because the sense right now is there isn't enough happening. Is that indeed the case or not? That's the question we're going to pose to them.
Awesome. And stay tuned and look forward to that every Wednesday. That's when we come back on. So next week, Wednesday, that will be on our agenda. And by the way, bro, remember we were talking about the 14 elections that are happening on the African continent this
year. Yes.
I can confirm that. I know that
the number is more. There's 22 elections happening across 16 countries.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Thanks for that. Lesotho is having theirs on the 28th of February.
True that.
So we will also be looking out for that, because they are our neighbor, and as a country, South Africa, we've had relations with them, especially of late.
Absolutely.
Recently. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for that and what it does on social media.
Absolutely. We'll be tracking the online mentions around those elections. And talking about that, last night at the book launch, I heard that 2 countries had paperless elections for the first time. Wow. One is Namibia, obviously, because we know about it.
Yes, we do.
They mentioned the other one, whose name I can't remember at the top of my head now, which is an indication of the progress that we're making on the continent insofar as elections are concerned. It's great indeed, and we're hoping that the continent will just keep at it. And from our perspective, we'll obviously support all the initiatives that are happening by doing what we're doing on eNitiate Visual Radio right now.
It's been real. It's been wonderful. Let's meet again next week, same time, same place.
Absolutely.
Despite any challenge that we came across, we are still adamant that digital Africa is worthy of being spoken about internationally, and that's our main mission.
Indeed it is. Thank you for hanging with us. We are a minute over. We will meet again next week, and Sitawa, I will still pursue you, my sister. I still will. Until then.